Hello and welcome to another doll repainting video on my channel. This doll is inspired by Lady Amalthea from the movie The Last Unicorn. For this custom, I chose Spectra. I think she's the perfect fit and her white skin will look amazing. So I'm gonna cut off her hair as close to the scalp as possible. This way it would be easier to remove the leftover hair from the inside. I put the head into hot water and make the rubber more soft to remove the head without breaking the neck. Then using tweezers and circular motions, I will be removing the leftover hair from the inside. For this doll, I'm doing inset eyes. I cut a hole open with the help of my X-Acto knife, and I'm using the original face up as a guide so the eyes match. Once I'm done cutting the holes for the eyes, I'll be removing the factory face up with acetone. The lips are the hardest part to clean, so I squish the head around to get all those parts out. Before I reroot the doll, I cut a hole on her head and remove it as part of the skull. This way I'll be able to add the eyes later. And I'm going to reroot her hair with this Destiny light lilac hair from Retro Dolls UK. The doll is prepared with the sock on her head to protect the hair from Mr. Super Clear. I have added 3 layers, let it dry for 24 hours, and now I'm going to start adding color using soft pastels. I'm adding her eyeshadow in a lilac color, blushing her cheeks with a little bit of peach, and also the lips because I want their color to be nice and soft. Also for her nostrils, I will be adding them using aqua colors and a very thin brush. Taking my black liner and I'm going in straight for the eyeliner. And this time I decided to add the lower lashes using watercolor paint and a very thin brush. I'm adding the crease using my color, and I'm using a purple. And also I'm adding a little bit of eyeshadow using the same purple as well, going from the outer corner of the eye and the inner corner. I really do explain these things like a makeup artist. I'm also going to highlight her Cupid's bow a little bit with my white pencil, and also giving intensity on the lips with a light peach pencil. I'm moving on to her eyebrows now, and I'm creating tiny little lines to mimic the hair. I also drew some lines as a guide to make them as identical as I possibly can. So filling it in with a light lilac pencil so it will match the hair. Now I'm adding a little bit of brown watercolor in between the lips. I'm also adding a little bit of darker in the eyebrows just because I want them to have more definition. I added some micro, and I always add the glitter on the last layer so they don't lose their shine by adding more and more layers on top of them. After that, I will put some high gloss varnish on her lips to get them nice and glossy. And I also got some silver micro glitter, mixed it with liquid high gloss varnish, and add it to the center of her eyelid. Moving on to creating the eyes, I got these eyes from AliExpress. I will be painting them blue with some acrylic paint. And once they're dry, I will be adding Liquitex High Gloss Varnish to use it as glue and add a bunch of glitter in it. Let that dry again. And I've also added some rhinestones this time, which I don't usually do. So once it's dry, I will be adding UV nail polish, and I just dab it in there. Go for the first layer, dry it, and then add more to give it that dome shape. Once they're all nice and dry, I will be taking epoxy sculpt, making 2 snakes, 1 for each eye, adding it around, and then placing the eyes in the doll. I try a few positions to find the perfect placing for the eyes, and also to make sure she doesn't look cross-eyed. I will push the epoxy on the walls of the doll's head to make them stick. So here's the first eye and here's the second one. Once I'm done with that, I'm moving on to creating a horn, and I will be using polymer clay. I'm making 2 cones and rolling them out and making the front part as thin as possible. I'm taking a pin and twisting them around. This way I can stick it in the doll's head and make it more secure. So once it's baked and ready, I'm just going to cut it off and give it an angle so it fits perfectly on the doll's head. And once it is in the doll's head, I will be adding some epoxy sculpt as well to secure it and make it permanent. I will let that dry for 24 hours, and once she's dry and I'm happy, I will take super glue and glue. I'll hold it for a little bit just so it's at the perfect position and it doesn't move around. So once it's dry, I will be bedazzling her horn with little tiny crystals, and I'm using gem glue to do that. Once I'm happy with that, I will move on to her dress. So for her dress, I decided to create a sparkly dress with a corset. This is kind of my design. I will be making the corset out of polymer clay and the skirt with a very sparkly fabric. I'm just creating a pattern and I always wing it, and I will be creating panty, and that's the first part of my dress. And I chose this glittery silver fabric. Once I'm done, I'm taking another sparkly fabric in white and in purple, and I will be creating one skirt that's going to be long and another one that's going to be very short by zigzagging my thread through the fabric. I attached it on the panties I made, and then to protect the dress from the polymer clay, I covered it in cling film and then added silver foil on top, and this way I will be making the corset, removing it without losing shape so I can bake it. I'm rolling out, spreading some polymer clay, making it as thin as possible, and then slowly working it on the doll. Once I'm done with placing it, I'm going to start cutting around, removing the excess. And I'm also going to start adding some lines just to give it some shape and design around the bustier and where normally the stitching would go. And once I'm done, I will start blushing it with a little bit of purple pastels just to give it some color. And once I'm done, I will slowly remove it, place it on the tray, and bake it for half an hour. Once it's nice and baked, I will be making some holes with a drill. I will pass a ribbon through it so I can attach it on the doll and make it nice and tight. But before I do that, I wanted to add some puffy sleeves. So here's the final dress. And I will now bedazzle it with a lot of rhinestones, and I'm using gem glue. Once I'm completely done with the dress, I can finally attach the head back. Add some full eyelashes, again using the same gem glue. And my doll is ready. I hope you guys like this Lady Amalthea inspired doll. I really like her. I think she came out really pretty. This doll will be available on my Etsy shop. I will leave a link in the description box below. Thank you for watching.